Welcome back to the Plus Money Podcast, your home for the best soccer bets in 15 minutes or less. I'm Andrew Passaro. He's Ani Sridhar. We have a solid week 2 of the EPL to look forward to, highlighted by Arsenal's trip to their old manager, Unai Emery, and Aston Villa. Aston Villa's home opener going to be buzzing, first season in Champions League for them in quite a long time. We got plenty of drama to look forward to. By the way, Villa swept Arsenal last season, so a big test early for Arsenal. You can follow us at Andrew Passaro, at Ani323, at the Plus Money Pod, up and down week 1. Not a ton of drama in the league, I don't think. I don't think there was anything that's exciting. All right, maybe not exciting. Nothing that surprising after week 1, other than that Eze goal being chalked off. Shocker, we have a referee mistake week 1 of the Premier League. Ani, quick scale of 1 to 10. How would you rate the opening weekend of the Prem this year?
I'd give it a solid 7. I thought we got a couple of good matches there. I thought the Newcastle red card was a little unfair. I thought there should have been a red card in that Arsenal game. I was trolling my Arsenal friend saying that not just Kai Havertz diving, but that was, in my opinion, more of a red card than what Bobby and Cher did in the Newcastle match. Chelsea losing to City, that was not shocking. I thought Chelsea played well. Again, same story as last year. They just couldn't finish at the back of the net. Nico Jackson might have one brain cell, but that's a whole different situation. It has been finalized that João Felix is back at Chelsea. Conor Gallagher goes to Atletico Madrid. Here's another winger, midfielder that Enzo Maresca has available at his in his arsenal. He did come out and say that Raheem Sterling and Ben Chilwell are not part of the plan, so they're on their way out. It's going to be very interesting on who's on this Chelsea squad and who's not in a couple of weeks, and who's actually going to be playing. Not just on the squad, but who's actually going to be, on the Matchday squad going forward.
There's a big graphic of the entire Chelsea lineup, like entire roster out there that looks like a college football depth chart, like in July.
I could Photoshop it and put my name on there and no one would know.
We could put both of our names on it. Yeah.
They would think that we're on Chelsea. Like
you could say
there's some names on that list. I have no idea who they are.
It's a little bit of one of those insult graphics where they're trying to, it's like, oh, here's all the, quarterbacks for the Washington football team in the last 30 years. It's like you could stick 2 more names on there and no one would notice.
No. I'm just going to put goalkeeper next to my name. And
literally.
It's like, they signed another goalie.
But like 2 or 3 of those goalkeepers are like very clearly youth products and are like under 21 and aren't going to feature for whatever. Liverpool are going to sell like 5 or 6 more, like, guys who are too good for the U21s, but not good enough for the first team in the next like 2 weeks. So, there's going to be a lot of movement. It's been a weird window so far.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Brighton early, Saturday morning. Brighton's home opener. They're taking on Manchester United. Brighton with a nice 3-0 win at Everton. Back looking like, now, is this a question of, are Brighton good or is Everton bad? But going to Everton, opening game of this season, is never going to be easy for any team. And Brighton they've had Man United's number at times, and Manchester United not healthy to start the season, missing some key players. Now, I do expect De Ligt to start as a central defender. He came off the bench in their opening game against Fulham on that Friday night, so he'll play against Lisandro Martinez. I still think that Brighton can get the best of United. Their money line plus 145, draw no bet minus 116. Both of those playable for me. Their team total over 1.5 at minus 104. I do want to kind of wait a little bit in the week and see if we can get that over to a plus number. But I definitely think Brighton can score twice in this game. What are you seeing so far for Brighton Man United?
Yeah, this was a prop that we went to in a lot of United games last year, and that's corners. And we saw 15 in that United-Fulham game that United were at home for. Brighton have a better attack than Fulham, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. I think Fulham are actually a sneaky good team this year. I like a lot of the moves they've made. I kind of like who they've got in their attack, but I like the over 11.5 corners at minus 115. I think this is you can ladder this to over 13.5 if you want. But I like the over 11.5 here as a safe bet.
My one criticism of Fulham, they have not signed a defensive midfielder.
That's
a huge gap, and that's not exactly a readily available market. They'll also be on the hunt for center backs with losing a couple of them. But
their defense is definitely shaky, as we saw in that United game, but they have the firepower up top to, cause trouble to opposing defenses.
Yeah, they've collected enough Premier League garbage to hang around.
Exactly. Literally.
We got a London derby. I don't know if it's the first one of the season, but Palace taking on West Ham, 10 o'clock. This one should be decent. Crystal Palace, I thought were, you know what? For a team that I was expecting to fade early in the season because of so many players off on international duty, they played really well against Brentford. And frankly, we mentioned it in the open, unjustifiable loss. As they absolutely should have scored on that free kick.
Insane shot.
Incredible. I mean, that kid is really good, and I think he's going to have to step up and take on a little bit of the Elise role, which I think he's ready for. Both teams are scoring over 2.5 at -105 is great value. West Ham were all over the place against Aston Villa. They definitely could have scored twice themselves in that match, but conceding a couple goals at home, I think this one should have some end-to-end stuff. Palace finished in the top half last year. West Ham have obviously spent heavy, bringing in a lot of new faces. Maybe we see a full Krug start. Maybe we see a Somerville start. But there's plenty of firepower on this West Ham team for us to see goals in this one. And I don't think Palace gets shut out at home. And at close to even money, that's incredible value.
Yeah, I'm taking the both teams to score the over 2.5 at -104. Pretty much just along the lines of everything that you just said. I think both teams get on the score sheet here, and we see. I think this could be a 2-2, 3-2 type of game. Free flowing, going to be pretty open, and hopefully we get a good London derby.
Yeah, should be a fun one. Manchester City host the recently promoted Ipswich, also at 10 o'clock. I was up early, watched all of the Ipswich match against Liverpool. Very impressed with them in the first half. Now, mind you, they're at home, home fans, home support. This is the Etihad. This is a bigger place, and I watched. I think I had the whole city. Or well, the
Chelsea.
rain was kind of knocking the satellite out a little bit on Sunday morning, but City Chelsea was on the whole time. City did City things. I don't think they were clearly not at their best. No Rodri starting as he's still kind of coming working himself back, but
Kovacic
City
looked
did
good.
what they did to advance. They got the win. Ipswich were impressive in the first half. Eventually fell apart in the second half, but took it to Liverpool in that game. I think they'll definitely try to be a little bit more compact against Manchester City. And to me, I don't think City are just going to roll this team over. City will win no problem, but I actually like City in under 3.5 at +120 here. I don't know it. Like I think City will have no problem unlocking them, but I do think it will take time. And frankly, I don't see Ipswich getting on the score sheet here. And rather than try to chase City in over 2.5, which I know is going to be like probably even money, I think we just chase City getting a win and there not being a ton of goals and Ipswich trying to not get blasted. I mean, what a brutal welcome back to the Premier League. I think they haven't been
Seriously.
up in the Prem in like 20 something years. You open home Liverpool at City that is quite a hole to try to dig yourself out of early. Now they could be aided by I think Leicester are going to get a points deduction here in the next couple days and we'll see if City get one themselves, but yeah, I'm going City in under 3.5.
Yeah, I originally was gonna go City -2.5 spread at -114, but what I like even better is correct score combination. I like City to win 1-0, 2-0, or 3-0 at +165. That's a crazy number. If you don't like that, you can also take it at +195. You can take City to win any other score. So if they win 4-0, then there you go. Then you hit that with the any other score bet. So I like both that +165 and +195. Like you said, I don't think Ipswich get on the scoreboard here, but it could be a 3-0 victory here for City.
Yeah, I just calm, cool, collected, get their 3 points, move on to the next game. You got something for Tottenham and the Wolves Chelsea game.
Yeah, so Tottenham I think was very unlucky not to come away with the win and more goals against Leicester. I thought in that first half their attack looked really, really good. Like Solanke was okay, but obviously he's still figuring things out. But their movement on the wings with Brennan Johnson, Pedro Porro coming up, Madison looked really good. Son had kind of a shaky game. Even when the substitutes came on in the second half, that attack looked very good. And we just saw what Brighton did to Everton on the road. I like Tottenham team total over 2.5 at +148. Big Ange is not going to slow down no matter who they play. So this is going to be an attack-minded team the entire season. And you're gonna give me plus odds for them to score 3 goals at home in their home opener? Yeah, all day.
What do you like in the Chelsea game? They're playing Wolves.
Um, So Wolves absolutely dominated Chelsea last year, I remember, in both legs on the road and at home. So Wolves have Chelsea's number. And this is not a tough place. I mean, this is not an easy place to go and get 3 points or even a point at Wolves. But I like Cole Palmer to have kind of a bounce back game here. He was almost taken away, kind of like what Belichick does in football. It takes your Pep kind of just took Cole Palmer out of the game completely. Like didn't well in his defense, I guess it was Chelsea's fault also playing him out so wide when Cole Palmer is a lot better when he's able to play a little bit more in the middle of in the thick of it, having the ball at his feet. But I like 2 shots on target at plus 115. He's the penalty kick taker for Chelsea. So if there is a pen, that's a shot on goal. You would hope is an automatic shot on goal for him. And I like him to get at least 2 on target here and at plus money. We're not gonna have plus money on that the rest of the year. So take it now when you still can.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's I mean, he's just one of those players that it's like it's him, it's Salah, Holland. You'll never get a Holland at that.
No.
But Ollie Watkins, all
Yeah.
these guys, you get 2 shots on
Solanke
target.
even, he had 2 shots
Yeah,
on
100,
target. Like,
yeah,
I think
definitely.
that's one I would look at again too.
All right, Saturday, 12:30, Villa Arsenal. Villa sweeping Arsenal last year, 1-0 win at home, 2-0 win on the road. Unai Emery having a great record against his old club. Arsenal looked good, doing, took care of business against Wolves. Villa 2-1 win at West Ham, looking good. No double game weeks yet. This is exactly when you want to catch Arsenal. I think this line is disrespectful. Yes, Villa have lost some pieces. Douglas Luiz is a big loss, but there's still a well organized, well drilled team playing at home after their best, frankly, the best Aston Villa season that I've ever seen in my tenure of being a football fan. So Aston Villa is going to be bumping.
Yeah.
Villa double chance at minus 105 is it doesn't make sense to me. I know
Yeah.
Arsenal are good. I know
Yeah.
Arsenal are good. But
Yeah.
my big criticism of Arsenal has always been they don't have the striker to finish things off. And yes, they got their goals against Wolves. I'm not surprised that you get your goals against Wolves at home. But this is Aston Villa on the road, a team that you know is going to be hard to break down. They've spent money. They went and solidified the back line, but frankly, the back line was not the problem for Arsenal last year. The problem is scoring goals in clutch situations. And frankly, I still think that Arsenal are missing that. And the fact that I can get Villa draw or win at minus 105, I'm absolutely going to take that. Other couple things that I like, Morgan Rogers playing as that number 10, that behind the striker guy, 2 shots in the match plus 110. That's ridiculous value. Doesn't need to be on target, just have to have 2 shots. He scored against West Ham last week. I don't see how he doesn't start again this week. Both teams to score no at plus 124. Like I mentioned, Villa shut out Arsenal twice last year. Works the other way. If Arsenal just, get the 1-0,
Right.
or if it's a 0-0, you're covered in 3 ways. Both teams to score no at plus 124. I think Villa do it, to be honest. And I think there's great value on Villa draw no bet. There's better value on Villa money line. What do you think?
I mean, I stayed away from just betting on this game just because, the history with Villa having Arsenal's number. Arsenal probably the better team here. But again, like Havertz is not that guy that's going to get you that clutch goal at the end of the game or in opportune moments. And I love the Rodgers shout there. It's kind of similar to Enzo last week. I had Enzo Fernandez because he was playing right behind Nico Jackson in that center attacking mid role. If that continues for Chelsea, I would look at Enzo again for shots. But yeah, I love that shout out with Rodgers. And I hope Villa do get a result here and they win. Um, yeah, I mean, I could see 0-0. I really could. Yeah, kind of a grind it out kind of game here.
Tactical. Like
Yeah,
not I don't think this is actually going to be a great game for the neutral. I think this game is
right,
going to be very compact and
right.
not exactly a lot of fun. Liverpool Brentford Sunday. There's 2 early Sunday games at 9 o'clock, but Liverpool Brentford 11:30. I'm going Diogo Jota, 2 shots on target at plus 120. He's going
I
to
like that a
start.
lot. Yeah,
He's going to start right now for Arne Slot. He had chances in their opener against Ipswich. And then I got 2 Brentford players, Embuemo and Wisa, both to have 2 shots in the match at minus 110. You can also parlay that up to plus 238. I think Embuemo can definitely have some success against the right side or the left side of Liverpool's defense. I think he can definitely I think he will have pace on Andy Robertson. I think he only had one shot against Palace. Yes, he only had one shot against Palace. Wisa did have two. So I like both of those for Brentford. I still think this is a Liverpool win. Slot's first game at Anfield. Crowd's gonna be on fucking crazy.
I agree.
But um it's not a lot of value on anything Liverpool related. Like, I mean, maybe you try to do the same thing with we talked about in the City game, the 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 victory. But I also think that Brentford can get on the score sheet. So Liverpool and both teams to score, I'm sure, is an okay number. But uh, yeah, I mean, Brentford have not had a ton of success at Anfield. They've had success against Liverpool at Brentford, but I just don't think it happens this week.
Yeah, I mean, I originally had pool -2.5 at +170, but now I'm thinking I might just take a -1.5 and parlay it with City -1.5 and just call it a weekend right there.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. That's nice and clean. All right, I do want to jump to a couple bets in Europe that I have. The Bundesliga kicks off on Friday. Mönchengladbach opening up against Leverkusen. Leverkusen and over 2.5 at +110. I'm gonna ride that just because why not? I know Leverkusen did. I think they got cute with it again during the what is it, the German Super Cup, but they got the win in the end over Stuttgart. But I still rate this Leverkusen team. Barcelona are taking on Athletic Bilbao on Saturday. Both teams are scoring over 2.5 at +105.
Mm.
Both teams to score came through in both matches for both of these clubs. Barcelona gave up the first goal to Valencia, and Athletic Bilbao gave up a goal as well. They drew 1-1. I do see some goals in that one at +105. I think that's fun odds. Atletico Madrid are taking on Girona, and the over 3.5 is +166. Both of these games last year turned out to be shootouts. So I think one was 2-2, one was 3-1.
And Atleti just played a 2-2 game.
Yep, which is why I also like the both teams to score an over 2.5 at -110. Both teams to score hit in both the Girona match against Betis 1-1 and Atletico Madrid. They drew 2-2 on Monday. Jumping to Italy, Torino take on Atalanta. Atalanta with a big win. New striker up there with Retegui replacing Scamacca, who's going to be out for the year. Retegui is a guy who I really rate, and I'm hoping, as an Italian supporter, I'm hoping that Gasparini can turn him into a guy just as productive as Scamacca. But Atalanta team total over 1.5 at +144, and their money line at +140. Look, Atalanta scored 2 goals in a lot of games. The fact that you can get their team total over 1.5 at that amount of
Hmm.
value it's just fun. They're a fun team to watch. Their road kits this year are great. So it's really clean white kit. Almost looks like an old Napoli kit because it's the same sponsor. But look, Atalanta are going to be a problem. They've geared up for the Champions League. They've lost a couple players, but no one huge. And frankly, Atalanta are one of those teams that it's like if they come sniffing around one of your players for 10, you should ask for 20 because they seem to know what they're doing. Um, yeah, that will wrap it up from us. I don't think there's Monday Night Football on the Prem this week, but there is going to be football on Monday for some leagues, so we'll be tweeting about it. And you can catch us on Twitter at Andrew Passaro, at Ani323, at the Plus Money Pod. We'll be back next week. Manchester United, Liverpool. And I think it's our last game week before the window
The
closes, and
window,
I
yeah.
think there's an international break if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to double check, but we'll be back next week. Well, as we get ready for all of it. Let's have a great weekend. Let's stay positive, and good luck, everybody.